In today's video, we're going to be taking a look here at the tropics, where already, as you can see, there is nothing expected over the next 7 days. So we actually are looking towards a pretty quiet week as far as tropics. So we won't spend too much time on that, but we do, however, need to talk about the upcoming storminess that is on the way. Lots and lots of storms heading into the central and eastern states that we need to talk about, as activity is expected to pick up in general. And then the temperature pattern, which is really cool right now, actually, mostly below normal for a lot of spots, even though it still feels really hot. It is slightly below normal. We are expected to briefly move back into a warmer pattern. And now, in more recent developments, we're going to see that actually quiet back down into a cooler pattern again. So a big roller coaster in the temperatures that we need to talk about. Before we get into things, though, be sure to check out our business Prestige Weather in the description and pinned comment down below, where we have weekly weather consulting as well as early access to our seasonal and monthly forecasts. We do have that winter forecast coming very soon to there. At least it will be a couple of weeks for the channel. An updated fall forecast, an updated hurricane season forecast, and eventually the fall foliage, first freeze, first snowfall, and total snowfall forecast as well. All coming this month, so it's going to be an extremely busy month over there on Prestige Weather. Check it out today. Now, again, like I mentioned, nothing expected over the next 7 days here in the tropics, so we're just going to move straight from this. We do expect a relatively active period during the middle portion of the month, so I don't think this is going to last too long, but at least during the next 7 days, no development is expected yet. As we move straight into our modeled guidance here, you can see that already by later on today, we do have a couple of active areas. First off, a 1,004 millibar low pressure center there over eastern Canada is causing some activity there over eastern Canada, as well as the Great Lakes and portions of the Northeast. We do see quite a bit of activity there. Throughout the Rockies and Four Corner states, there is a pocket of relatively persistent storminess that has been taking place now for Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado there, even into some of the plains like South Dakota and Nebraska there. We do see a quite active pattern ongoing. We do see for portions of the southeast and mid-Atlantic here, we have some thunderstorm activity from Kentucky down through Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Georgia, into the Carolinas, and portions of western Virginia and West Virginia there. So western East Virginia, if you will, and then the state of West Virginia. And then we have our kind of daily occurring thunderstorms there for Florida. No big surprises there. As we move towards the day tomorrow on Friday, we can see some pockets of storminess again over the northwest into the plains and the northern Rockies once more. So we do see some pretty heavy thunderstorms taking place throughout these states. And then for the East Coast, as we work our way from Mississippi and Alabama, take that eastward up the southeast coast, up into the mid-Atlantic, and even as far northward as eastern Canada. Again, we have this kind of linear storm mode that's taking place. There is a little bit of some lower pressure here. And this is all kind of a frontal boundary underneath that is causing some thunderstorms to take place. So a relatively stormy day on the way for tomorrow. Saturday, however, looks a lot nicer as all of that kind of moves offshore of the East Coast. And we see in general a lot of dry conditions here for a lot of the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes there, the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, the Southeast. It's really as you work your way towards the northern plains, kind of the Midwest area here, and into the northern Rockies, where we continue to see some of these thunderstorms taking place. Kind of this area here is what I'd call it, is where we're watching for that. As we take it towards Sunday, so kind of the end of your weekend here, we do see a 1,002 millibar low pressure center here for Iowa and Minnesota. And in general, this is causing a lot of storminess all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico and as far northward as south central Canada. We are seeing thunderstorms as a result of this. As we take a look there at a lot of the northwest into the northern Rockies, we do see plenty of thunderstorms taking place for a lot of these spots here. And as far southward as Florida, we're seeing some thunderstorms. Again, no big surprises for Florida, but these two areas are looking really, really stormy for the end of the weekend there. As we approach Monday, August 7th here, we can see that for a 996 millibar low pressure system, which is really, really strong for this time of year. If it was the wintertime, this would be a relatively mild storm, but for summertime, this is actually relatively strong here. And we are seeing some persistent thunderstorm activity for many, many miles outside of this area of low pressure. So it is spreading far and wide here with a lot of these thunderstorms, but the heart of it is going to be over Michigan, Wisconsin, a lot of the Ohio Valley there, and then some of southeastern Canada there. We do see some of this storminess still taking place here for a lot of the northern Rockies into some of the plains here. That has been ongoing, like we've said, and it's continuing here. And then we have some of these more tropical thunderstorms that are still taking place for the southeast, of course. As we take this all the way towards Tuesday the 8th, we see this low pressure system really blows up. I want to say that's a 986 millibar low pressure system there for eastern Canada. And it does appear like it has a bit of a cold front stretching underneath like this. So I want to say all of this storminess is kind of a result of that low all the way in Canada. And this is creating a lot of storminess here for especially eastern Canada, but not only that, a lot of New England as well getting involved there. We have seen things quiet down here for the plains in the northern Rockies, but not entirely. There is still some scattered about and isolated thunderstorms around for you guys there. There's our daily emojis. I don't know why that happens every single day, but Wednesday, the 9th here, we could see along kind of the plains into portions of the Midwest, deeper south, we do see some thunderstorms developing. As this low is at a 978 millibar low pressure center there. Very strong up there in Canada. Could be creating some really stormy conditions for those folks, obviously being that strong. Thursday the 10th, we begin to see our next low develop as 1003, relatively weak, but we do see this does cause a lot of storms to develop, especially across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and portions of the south there for Tennessee and Arkansas. Relatively quiet though outside of that low, so we do see that kind of dying down a little bit. As we reach Friday the 11th, we see this becomes 1003, so still, again, relatively weak. But we can see a relatively large area of storms, mostly as a result of this low pressure system, all the way from the deep south. And you take that northward through the Mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley into the northeast and the southern portions of Canada there as well. But look at how quiet out west and for the central United States is there by Friday. And then our final day here on this model run, Saturday, August 12th, we can see, again, very quiet. We do have some isolated thunderstorms taking place for a lot of the southeast and some of New England here as well. And then a little bit more persistent here with some scattered thunderstorms from Texas all the way northward through the rest of the plains into the upper Midwest there for Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan there as well. Now, let's go ahead and just move straight into the total precipitation. No surprise here with how much activity we saw, that we are expecting above average amounts of precipitation for almost everywhere in the eastern United States, and then for the north central United States there. Anywhere in the reds, as a rule of thumb, is going to definitely be above average if this does verify. And I say that because this model could technically be wrong. We could see a lot less. But if everything was to happen exactly as this is showing, which it absolutely will not, by the way, but if it did hypothetically, we would be seeing above average precipitation for all of these areas circled in. As far as the measurements go, anywhere in the whites is practically no precipitation. Your grays are going to be 1/10 of an inch or less. Your greens 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Blues 1/2 an inch to an inch. Your yellows 1 inch to 2 inches. Reds 2 to 5 inches there. And then your browns, which we see some of that for the Dakotas there, and some of that for eastern Canada, where we get that monster low pressure system there. We can see anywhere from about 5 to 10 inches of precipitation for these areas, which is obviously a ton over the course of 10 days, anywhere from about 1/2 an inch to an inch per day on average during that time. Now, as we just move straight into the temperature pattern, here's exactly what I was talking about, where it is cooler conditions overall compared to normal. It doesn't really feel that way, but technically on paper, that is what we're going through right now. And we do see that a warm-up does come, especially along the eastern seaboard here. We can see this stretching far and wide all the way northward into eastern Canada, but we can already see some cold air pushing in behind, and this is actually going to eventually move in. This is by August 7th here, and we do see that it makes its way in for the most part. That southeast ridge is still playing a role, but I think this frame kind of encompasses it the best. We could see a lot of warmth here along the western seaboard, indicating a positive PNA, and what that stands for is Pacific North American Oscillation. Exactly what this means is that there's warmer conditions along the western United States and the rest of North America for that matter. And when this happens, it surges this warm air northward up the west, and this causes a lot of that cold to kind of try to balance it out and move southward. And that's exactly what we're seeing take place here. Not cold by any means, of course. It's still August after all. But on paper, again, like I said, it will technically be below normal as a result of this. I think what's interesting to note, though, is that we do see this cooler area, but it's more inland here. It's a lot for the plains, the upper Midwest, a lot of the Ohio Valley. But we do see the warmth here still persisting for the East Coast, and that's going to be interesting if we do see that take place. By the end of the model run, though, which is going to be August 18th, we do see that this does begin to actually push back that warmth and move further eastward towards the eastern seaboard. And that would certainly be very interesting. We continue to see this positive PNA, which tells me we're going to continue to get cold shots into the central and eastern states. Anyway, be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day, so we'll go over all of this with you guys. Also, be sure to hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload, so you never miss one. Also, like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.